and toward new opportunities? And if so, what would you do as district attorney to promote such programs? Ms. Jackson.
Okay, that was question number 4?
It's question number, yeah.
Okay, that was a little out of order.
I did take it out of order. We'll just
Thank you. With respect to whether or not I support sending youthful offenders to restorative justice programs, I agree with that absolutely. It is fundamental that that must be done, and I cannot conceive of a district attorney not believing in that proposition. What would I do as a district attorney to promote such programs? I would use them every chance I got. The more you use them, the more we would bring those types of programs into the county, and I believe it's absolutely imperative for the juvenile justice system to do so. We do not do ourselves any favors treating children like they're criminals. They make mistakes. They make mistakes just not only with drugs but with other things. And the more that we can do to address those problems that youth has, the more that we can divert them into other areas to get them the assistance, the counseling, and the support that they need, the better off this community will be in the future.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Gallegos.
Thank you, Greg. The goals, the stated goals of the juvenile justice system are twofold: rehabilitation of the minor and public safety, protection of the community. There are many programs here in Humboldt County that work to divert and rehabilitate youths. That is the goal of the probation department. It's the goal of my office. My personal belief is the best way to reduce crime in our community is through our children. If we can make children change from a path of criminality while they're still children, we don't have to deal with them as adults. And to me, that's a community good. So absolutely we support and participate and promote any and all reasonable, feasible programs to rehabilitate, reincorporate, divert, treat, and educate not only children in the juvenile justice system, but children throughout this community. That is the future of this community. That is our responsibility. So we cannot look at this as adult type behavior. Certainly there are some offenses that minors get involved in that warrant adult sort of treatment. But that is a rare exception to the rule, and that's the way we see it, and that's the way we have always tried to do it. When I took office, I assigned Stacy Eads, who was dedicated to handling those sort of work from our office to juvenile justice, and she has done that the entire term I've been in district and served this community as the district attorney. She is intelligent. She has reason. Thank you.
Mr. Hagan.
Thank you. The question began with the statement that zero tolerance policies in schools have led to greater criminalization of young people. I think that's true, so I'd like to say first off that in my mind, a zero tolerance policy is a zero intelligence policy. If you've got absolutely no discretion in what you're doing, there's no thought involved, and if there's no thought involved, there's no intelligence involved. I've read different stories that I imagine many people have. I remember reading one in the newspaper about a boy who brought a birthday cake to school with a knife to cut it. The teacher cut up the cake, fed the kids the cake, turned the student in for having brought a knife to school, and he was suspended under a zero tolerance policy because it had to be done. Whether or not that's true, I read it in the paper, I don't know, but it's a zero thought policy. What we need to do is remember that the function, the purpose of the criminal justice system for juveniles is rehabilitation and not punishment. This is one of the reasons that the courtrooms are closed when juveniles are in the courtroom system, so that they and their parents can have a private setting with the judge and work on rehabilitation. As was mentioned earlier, everybody makes mistakes. We all start life in the same way, and we don't want to be tarred with something that's very deep and very lasting simply because we were too young to understand the consequences of our actions. So what have we got? We've got a system where we've got to make decisions. I'm a volunteer for the Humboldt County Teen Court. and I've been doing that for quite some time. You go to court, the student somewhere in high school in Humboldt County has already pled to a criminal defense and is going to be sentenced by a jury of their peers. A real judge is in the room, there are 2 real lawyers in the room, but everybody else are teens. And it's amazing to sit there and listen, because most of these are drug offenses, although there are sometimes theft offenses and the like. You learn a lot, and the teens have a lot of smarts. They fashion a punishment to fit the crime based on their own sensibility. And what you learn from that is that these children, these young adults, these adolescents need an opportunity to stay away from the criminal justice system and not be made into criminals. I think that's absolutely clear.
Time. And Ms. Bryson.
Thank you. I am a minors counsel, and I do represent juveniles. And we do have diversion programs already in place, but we can make our system a lot better. One of the things that drives me for the 20% pay cut, again, I'm mentioning the $30,000 that our county can decide how to spend Kathleen Bryson's money needs to go into our juvenile system. Needs more counseling for juveniles with drug offenses. I went to a teen challenge day the other day, last month, and all these teens, what they need is love. They need love from their teachers, they need love from their parents, their peers. Their just hearts are breaking and they need it. And to put money into juvenile services means to have the counselors available, to have the highly trained substance abuse counselors and things of that nature. But yes, we're already doing diversion programs, but sometimes those programs don't work. I've had different scenarios where I'm able to resolve the matter with the school directly without it reaching Ms. Eads and Mr. Gagos' office. I've had cases where I resolve with probation, and this is my opportunity to talk about quickly. Juvenile probation is doing a fantastic job with our kids. I would say 99.9% of the people in juvenile probation have a real heart for children and are doing a great job, and often under difficult circumstances and budget cuts too. But there are children that do need time in juvenile hall. But it's a matter of working through what works for what child. I have a client right now who's in juvenile hall, and that's the only way he's going to get his high school diploma, because he's a runaway and he has substance abuse issues, and we've got a program now tailored just for that, for his issues.
Time.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone who would care to do a rebuttal?
No.
Please.
No.
Do we,
I don't
we have-
really have a rebuttal, but I want one moment just to let the community understand the juvenile justice system. When a referral is made from law enforcement, it goes to the probation department. The bulk of the time, what you get is what's known as informal probation. That minor comes in with their adults to the probation department, and they enter into a contract. They contract to do certain things or refrain from doing certain things for a period of time. That is the way probably 70 or 80% of all juvenile referrals get handled. So the mere fact that a school may make a complaint, depending on the conduct, or someone in the community may make a complaint, does not mean that they are necessarily going to get caught up in the criminal justice system or become criminalized. So I want this community to understand that that is one area where everyone, all parties, are deeply invested
Time.
in the minor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this issue?
Are we opening it up to a not rebuttal?
I mean, you've got. Why don't we just say you've got a minute to say anything you want to that relates to what the previous speakers have said on this issue. Does that work for you?
That works for me, but I don't care what this time.
Okay.
I would.
Go ahead, Ms. Bryson.
I guess I'm just finishing what Mr. Gagos was saying, is that there are diversion contracts that have community service involved, that have restitution to victims if there are victims that need restitution, that have hours that the child needs to be home by 10, they need to do well in their school, they need to attend school, that kind of thing. And these diversion contracts are often 6 months, and it gives an opportunity to the child to show that they are serious about rehabilitating